Richie, Ray Houghton said, even in his commentary in that one, a thrilling game, but perhaps neither team did enough to win it. Is that how you saw it?
Neither had that cutting moment of quality in the final third when it really mattered, but I think Australia gave a lot more going forward in the second half than Denmark did. Sure, certainly. They made a couple of attacking changes. One of them was forced upon them because of the injury to Nabut's shoulder. Juric came on. Arzani, who we were calling out to see, he came on and I think he made an impact. The 19-year-old lived up to his billing as someone who's not short of confidence in any way. He you know, you're looking at a player like that and thinking what might have been had he come on earlier. But overall, I think Australia will be disappointed that they didn't convert the number of chances they had and the amount of attacking options that they had into goals. But the group table now is looking, we're at that stage, we're trying to work out goal different and what ifs and what's impact will the next result of the next game have. But I thought it was really entertaining second half. It opened up.
Yeah, it certainly was. Well, we know at least anyway if France win, that'll make it very straightforward for us a little bit later on. We'll look at that one a bit later. But Michael, just picking up on that point that Richie made, from an Australian point of view, they gave so much more from an attacking point of view than they did against France, so they will be disappointed maybe not to get something for it.
Yeah, it did, and obviously there's a difference in the level of opposition as well. I think they probably took a lot of belief from the French game. And they came out in the second half. I thought they played some really good football. They got into some really good areas, wide areas, and at times they picked the wrong cross. So they didn't have enough men in the box just to capitalise on that. Again, possibly the lack of having a real, number 9 has hurt them a little bit. But they've given themselves something to play for. That's the most important thing. They'll go into, obviously, the final game. They still have a chance at the very least of catching Denmark, and when you're a nation like Australia coming to the World Cup and you're in a group with France and Denmark, for example, then it's at least you've gone to the final game with a chance of qualification.
Well, let's have a look at some of the analysis from this game, Richie, because as you mentioned, Australia, they had so many chances, we could have picked out about 15 of these.
Yeah, we went for about 5 or 6 in the end, but they was kind of saying Rogic, we wanted him on the ball a little bit more. He got on there early in the second half. It was a really good defensive header from Larson. Lecky was lurking at the back post. Lecky fires the ball across here. Schmeichel had come, and again Lecky
he was influencing on everyone, wasn't he?
He did. I mean, he really got into it. And Arzani had come on at this point. He's really good feet. He's very fast. He's full of self-belief. He made an impact. Sets up Moy here, who shoots from distance.
Great strike, actually. It was just a little bit over the top. Again, we see comes inside Juric on this occasion. It's Rogic, rather. Sorry. Good effort. They had a lot of attempts. There are attempts from outside the box. Schmeichel dealt with them fairly easily. But this is a great bit of skill by Arzani here. Poor defending. And again, it's just an example where they've only one man in the box. They've only one man in the 6-yard box. I think this was the final chance, Richie, was it?
Yeah. Arzani again, he looks to take it on. He had the option of trying to find a teammate in front of goal or pull it back. Took the shot on himself.
But the saves that Schmeichel made, we would expect him to make them, in all honesty. He was really good in the second half, Lecky there. Juric actually gets in his way a little bit, but Ray touched on it in commentary that he was like a magnet when the ball came in the box, and that was the case, to be honest. Yeah,
well, that was what was happening at one end. At the other end, Denmark, their chances, Michael.
Yeah, Denmark ended up, they lost their way in the game again. Fabulous start, as we talked about, but second half, a lot of their play. This was a great little play by Shona, and Poulsen drives into the box. Again, Sisto must look next. Outside him, Larson, he just needs to roll it one more. Cornelius here gets a little claim possibly for a penalty. Goes back to Sisto here. It's a good effort, but again, I don't think he's going to beat Matt Ryan from there. I think he has it covered. And I think the final chance comes in. Possibly it's Braithwaite, Eriksen, where again it kind of summed up Eriksen's second half. That falls to his better foot, and it's it's an effort that you would expect him to do better with. But they lost their way. They replaced Jorgensen with Cornelius, which then makes them more direct. He tried to bring Braithwaite on for Poulsen, who seemed to be affected by giving the penalty away again. And at the end of the day, I think of the two teams, Denmark will be happier with the point.
I wonder, is that the case though, Richie, because they were so poor in some places today, and we've seen them play better football. God, we've seen them play it against us, so from their point of view today, okay, they come away with a point, as Michael says, but maybe we thought we might get more from them. Yeah,
one-dimensional. That was the term that kept coming into my head along where I was watching them. I don't think they were overly impressive in the opening game. We went through before the matches too. It was as much about poor finishing and good goalkeeping. Schmeichel got them the 3 points in that day, but tonight or this afternoon, Eriksen is their obvious key man. When he ticks, he can create things that others can't, and when he doesn't, we said at the start, is anyone else going to step up? Is anyone else going to show initiative or responsibility? At times, towards the end, I think Sisto did. His decision-making at times was poor, but he's a lot of pace, he's dribbling, he's superb on the ball, but it was too late in the second half before he started to make an impact. So without Eriksen, they just seem pretty flat.
But they do have two good centre halves and a good goalkeeper.
Yeah.
They've not conceded from open play in the two games. You know, the goal that's gone against them has been a penalty, and that may carry them obviously to the knockout phase of the tournament.
Yeah, look, I mean, they can still qualify.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
I mean, that's a good formula,
here.
like a good goalkeeper, a solid defence, and a player that can do things that very few players in the tournament can, and who can at times be drifting in and out of games, but only takes a momentary contribution to make a match-winning impact. Like, that's a lot of ingredients there for success. Sometimes it's not great to watch. You're sitting there crying out for someone else to do something creative or entertaining. I don't think this Denmark team, certainly the rest of them aren't going to produce that.
Yeah, that's for sure. One thing that was great to watch, though, Michael, was his goal early on. I mean, maybe it wasn't a match winner, but it was a moment of sheer class. Yeah,
so many of the goals we've seen set pieces, but it's great to see this type of goal. We've seen one or two Mertens for Belgium and Coutinho. But it's the technique, you know, it's great little set-up play by Jorgensen. Again, we talked about Shona stepping in. I thought he did well for Denmark today in place of Kist. And we get a better angle of it here. Nice little ball in. Jorgensen, good awareness. And it's a fabulous first-time finish. It's the technique, and that is not easy. The ball's a little bit under his feet, but he just guides it. Great power off his left side, which, as I say, when you're two-footed, you can deal with that. And Eriksen certainly showed that there.
It was a beautiful touch.
It was really good kind of composure, which may be an odd word to use when you strike a ball with such pace and accuracy, but you think back to like John Stone's chance the other night for England, just lashed that.
Lashed it.
He that was a kind of a controlled, I won't even call it a controlled lash, but it was controlled with a huge amount of power and accuracy. I don't think the keeper could have done much more, even though it was relatively close to him. Like, the technique was superb.
From their point of view then, Michael, if Eriksen is to play again, I mean, they've got France in their final game. If he is to go and get a goal, I mean, they can still go into that game and feel like, yeah, we can go and beat France, you know.
Well, look, they've put themselves in a position where they can win the group. It's in their own hands, regardless of what happens in the next game. If France go to 6 points, Denmark can still beat them in the final game and top the group. I don't think France will do it because of the quality they have, but certainly if you were playing against Denmark, you would be looking and think, well, you know, if you man mark Eriksen or certainly, you know, limit him space, I think you know what Denmark are going to do otherwise. You know, you're going to face a lot of back to front balls. You get longer balls into the likes of a Cornelius or a Jorgensen. So, you know, the wide players, Poulsen threatens at times, a little bit inconsistent. Sisto's the same, a little bit inconsistent. So, you know, very much it is about trying to stifle Eriksen. And I think, should they go to the knockout phase of the tournament, you know, I think teams will have that in mind.
Yeah, sure. All right, Richie, let's get back to the controversial moment that we had in the first half, the penalty for Australia and the VAR. Walk us through this, and I know both of you felt that this was harsh.
Yeah, we highlighted Lecky here and the two players, Poulsen and Christensen, who are on the edge of the box. So defensively, it's a poor setup from Denmark, but we can see the referee's position. He's waving his fingers, no, carry on. And he does so. A couple of claims from the Australians, but they carry on playing, and we've kept the clock running at the bottom of the screen, kept an eye on the referee. So we now know at this point the VAR officials are contacting him and he blows the whistle. But you can see enough time has passed for the ball to get up to the other end and for the goalkeeper to touch it. So this will inevitably arrive at a scenario where in this period someone maybe is going to get a goal scoring chance or score a goal, and we'll wonder then what to do. But here's the slow down replay. It's Poulsen's left arm. It's got to be deliberate for it to be a handball, to be a penalty kick. And a few things have to be considered. The proximity of the distance between the contact and the ball and the hand. Is it a natural position or not of the arm? Could the arm have been moved out of the way?
Well,
you look at all the actual laws.
On that, Richie, the former FIFA ref, Urs Meier, was on TV and he says it's the wrong call. It's not a penalty because it's not deliberate play. He says he doesn't know why VAR intervened and it is a mistake by the referee.
It's because those are... So there's numerous VAR officials up in the room. And one of them contacts the referee. So does it only take one of the four of them to think, actually, there's a case to be heard there? Tells the referee, and of course he makes the ultimate decision. But you're trying to mind read the player to say, was that an intentional act? Was it a deliberate act? It didn't look like it from the movement of his hand.
No, it's definitely not. You know, it comes from the poor it's an act of panic on Poulsen's part, because he recognises he's going to get a clear header. He's trying to make the ground up, and then he jumps in a kind of unnatural way. If he's marking Lecky, he's not going to jump like that. He's not jumping towards the ball. He's actually jumping towards the ball there because he's coming from the edge of the 6-yard box, and as a result then his hand is in what you would say is a somewhat unnatural position, and the ball strikes his hand. You know, I think it's very harsh in that situation to give a penalty.
For it to be deliberate, you've got to say, OK, well, that was Poulsen's either his plan that he set out before he took the 2 or 3 steps, or as he was jumping, he made a deliberate motion to raise his left arm with the intention of blocking the ball should it come his way, which is that's a very complex thought pattern to attribute to him in a very short space of time.
Like the other handball we saw previous game with Australia was Umtiti, where his hand is raised above his head, which is a natural situation to go and head the ball, and he wasn't making up ground. You know, that was just a bad decision by him, and obviously the ball clips the top of his hand and it was a penalty. But in this one here, you know, I've a lot more sympathy for Poulsen.
He's also putting his hand outside of his body at that point, where, you know, for a defender jumping up, you know, a lot of people's hands are at that kind of level. Yeah,
well, he has, like, he's trying to sort of leverage himself up, and you know, he's 6'4" actually. He's a wide player. If a centre half jumped like that, you would probably be more concerned. You know what I mean? Or centre back, like he is in many ways typical of a forward in that situation.
Yeah, Richie, I wonder this, because both of you raised this earlier on when we were having a chat off air. Is the element of getting away with something now going to be gone from the game?
It will make it a little bit more difficult, certainly in the key incidents. If you've got 4 sets of eyes who have access to numerous camera angles, who don't have to make the decision there and then, who can back up the referee 20, 30 seconds afterwards. We're never going to arrive at a scenario in a sport like football where 100% of the decisions are met with agreement by everyone. If that's a motive or the end game, I just think people need to drop that expectation. Like today, like we have all the angles, all the replays, the 4 officials, and we believe probably got the wrong decision. They believe they got the right one.
Yeah, I think that we're getting into dangerous ground, because VAR will not solve all of these situations. We will still see scenarios where the referee decides not to go to the VAR that could be a penalty.
Like, for instance, the Danish, you know, he was being dragged down. He could have went for that.
There was a tug on Cornelius in the box. We saw earlier in the tournament the Harry Kane situation in the box, where he's been manhandled on 2 occasions, doesn't go to the VAR. I would like to see it used almost to verify the ref when he makes a decision. So if the referee gives a penalty and it's an incorrect decision, like we suffered in qualification, you know, the referee gave a penalty that if VAR had been available, he would have gone to it and then looked and said, well, that's not a penalty, so that's fine, it doesn't affect the game at that point in time. You're not losing the game because of a poor decision. If it was used correctly last night in the Spain game to disallow the Iran goal because the player was rightly offside. But I think when things are missed in the game, then possibly we have to accept it. That's the way it was prior to VAR. But what we won't get is, we won't get an incorrect goal. We won't get an incorrect penalty if it's given, because it should go to VAR to verify that it is a penalty. But we may still see things in the game that are missed.
All right, well, look, we can continue this for 20 more minutes if we wanted to.